A family sits inside their home, listening to a torrential downpour. Within minutes, the water reaches the door and the power grid fails. The darkness is absolute, instantly turning a familiar sanctuary into a source of intense vulnerability. When a home's primary defenses fail, it creates an immediate psychological vacuum. The children begin to cry, and the father has to light a candle just to push back against the paralyzing fear. Without electricity or dry ground, the family's sense of safety has completely vanished. A phone rings in the dark. It's the grandmother calling from a distant village to tell them they are welcome there. This external connection provides the exact push the family needs to stop reacting to the dark and start planning their escape. Surviving a disaster often requires a difficult trade. To stay safe, the family must leave the only shelter they have left and step directly into the rising floodwaters. The transition out of the home is a harsh reality check. The family is now fully exposed, wading through cold, rushing water in the middle of a storm, with nothing but what they can carry. As they walk, the father tells the children, every storm is followed by a new morning. By setting a mental finish line, he gives the group a reason to keep their feet moving. This promise of a tomorrow creates the forward momentum necessary to prevent the group from stopping out of exhaustion. This network model shows how groups survive environmental pressure. An isolated node, like a person alone in a flood, turns red and fails under the weight of the stress. But when nodes are interconnected, like a family holding hands and moving as one, the weight of the crisis is distributed across the entire system. In this phase of a crisis, the goal is replacing individual terror with a shared objective. For this family, that objective is simply reaching the train station together. The path to the station grows more dangerous by the minute. The ground is slick, the daughter slips into the current, and the rising water makes every step a calculated risk. In the middle of their own escape, the family spots a baby duckling stranded on a tiny patch of land. Despite the urgency of their journey, they stop. They reach into the water to pull the creature to safety. Stopping to help a duckling in a flood seems like a waste of precious energy, but this act serves a vital purpose. By focusing on a problem they can actually solve, the family breaks the feeling of being helpless victims of the weather. Saving the duckling reminds the family that they still have the power to make choices. Nature has taken their home, but it hasn't taken their ability to protect something even more vulnerable than themselves. Preserving this sense of humanity prevents the group from retreating into a purely selfish survival mode, which would eventually erode the trust they need to stay together. They finally reach the station and board a train. The shift is immediate. They move from the raw, unpredictable danger of the flood into a dry, mechanical environment that is actively carrying them away from the crisis. The train acts as a transitional buffer. It's a space where the immediate physical threats are on pause, giving the family a chance to breathe and begin processing the night's trauma. While the train moves, the family turns to communal rituals. They share homemade food and tell stories. These familiar, everyday actions are what allow them to start rebuilding their emotional strength. The train rushes through a dark tunnel and suddenly bursts out into a landscape brightened by a rainbow. This moment serves as a reset. It provides a visual signal that the most dangerous part of their journey is behind them. Real resilience involves more than just physical grit. It requires these moments of active emotional replenishment to prepare for whatever comes next. The family arrives at the grandmother's village, a place of peace and tradition. After the chaos of the night, it feels like the ultimate safe haven, where the story can finally end. But the rains return, and they are even heavier than before. The village river overflows, and the very house they fled to for safety begins to flood. The sanctuary has failed. This chart tracks the family's distress during the first flood. That jagged spike represents the panic of the unknown. But look at the data for this second flood. As the water enters the grandmother's house, the curve stabilizes. The family doesn't freeze this time. They move toward higher ground with a calm efficiency, because they've survived this before. They know the house is just wood and stone, but their lives are irreplaceable. The family has learned that safety isn't found in a specific set of walls. True sanctuary comes from knowing they have the experience and the coordination to handle a threat, no matter where it finds them. When the water finally recedes, the village begins to rebuild. The family works alongside their neighbors, clearing out the mud and repairing the damage caused by the river. This collective work changes the environment of the village. The act of raising walls and clearing debris together shifts the focus from the destruction they suffered to the progress they are making. The family eventually boards a train to head back to their own home. As the village fades into the distance, they remain connected to the grandmother, not just by memory, but by the shared experience of surviving the storm. Physical structures can be rebuilt, and distance can separate loved ones. But the ultimate sanctuary, the one that nature cannot touch, is the unbreakable bond of a family that stands together through the cycle of crisis and rebirth.